policy changes announced by Minister Woodhouse came into effect 12 October 2016. What are those changes? First, we have the parent category. This category has now been suspended for at least 2 years. You can no longer put in a new application. You cannot put in a new expression of interest. It will not be selected. Existing applications will continue to be processed. If you have already been invited to put in the application, that will be accepted as well. But nothing new for at least 2 years. So why is that? This is because the government has reduced the number of places from 5,500 a year down to 2,000 a year. And they currently have a backlog of over 4,000 applications. So they've got a backlog of at least 2 years. And as you can see, that's a pretty huge reduction, 66%. So why have they done this? They've been a bit coy on some of the reasons, but I believe among those reasons are the huge cost of healthcare. You must remember that the people coming in on this category have in general never contributed anything to the tax base of New Zealand. And many of them arriving here were in a poor standard of health. I'm not sure how they managed to get through those health tests, but they did. But they're now fronting up at our health system, many of them with diseases like type 2 diabetes. Hugely expensive and costing us many tens of millions of dollars. There's also the high cost of paying superannuation. I don't believe the government realized it would be such a large amount who would qualify. And another cost, which was unexpected, has been those of emergency benefits. The people coming in for this category, the parents, were supposed to be looked after by their children. And unfortunately, in many cases, this is not happening. The children have left for overseas, either returned back to their own country or gone some other country, but often leaving their parents here without any income, without any support, and those parents have been requiring emergency social welfare benefits, again at the cost of many millions of dollars. Now, for those of you who are desperately keen to get your parents here, are there any other options? Yes, the most obvious is the parent retirement category. However, your parents must be able to invest at least 1 million New Zealand dollars in New Zealand for at least 4 years. The entrepreneur category is a possibility. Here, your parents will be required to establish a business. Apply. If it's approved and successful after 2 years, they may be able to gain resident status. For those who can't do that, there is still the multiple entry visa that hasn't changed, so parents, grandparents can still get multiple entry 3-year visas. Now, the other category that has changed and received a lot of media attention is the skilled migrant category. Effective 12 October 2016, the minimum points level you must have to gain residence is 160 points. There's also new standards for the minimum level of English. Here's the summary of the points. Before 100 points and a job, you're in. Or 140 points without a skilled job. No more. As of last week, it's now 160 points. Doesn't matter whether you got a skilled job or not, you must have that 160 points. Is it possible to increase your points? Yes it is. You need to plan ahead. The most obvious is the 30 points bonus for having a job outside Auckland. Now, if you're studying in Auckland, obviously it's much harder. Therefore, I think people will seriously need to consider changing their place of study from Auckland to other regions in the South Island, Wellington, Hawke's Bay, Bay of Plenty. The government seems to me also keen to bolster those who are studying at a bachelor or higher level. It seems to me they're not that keen on level 5, level 6 diplomas. But here at TDA we have some other ideas as well, and we're very happy to discuss your situation with you, and if appropriate, share those thoughts and ideas with you to see if it applies in your situation. The final change in policy was English language requirements. The minimum has increased. Much tougher rules. New Zealand, Australia, Canada, USA, Ireland, and Great Britain. If you're a citizen of those countries and you have worked for at least 5 years or studied for at least 5 years in those countries, then you do not need to take any of the English language tests. You are considered to have a good standard of English. If you gained a bachelor's degree studying for at least 2 years in those same countries, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Great Britain, Ireland, USA, again, you're considered to meet the minimum standard. And finally, if you have a master's or PhD after 1 year study in those same 6 countries, again, you have met the minimum standard of English. If you don't meet any of those standards I've just covered, then you must sit one of the tests that have been prescribed by the government. IELTS is still the same. You must sit IELTS and you must gain 6.5 average across the 4 bands. Alternatively, you can sit TOEFL or the Pearson test. Well, I hope that's been a useful summary for you. If we can help, we at TDA look forward to meeting with you and discussing your situation. Thank you for listening.